Hey, I'm Dr. Tom Shell with Curos.com or Nouvelle Research and also SecondVet.com, where we make herbal formulas. And SecondVet.com, I do consulting and different laboratory tests for horse owners and veterinarians alike. Wanted to make a video here looking at the microbiome in these horses. It's a very, very important thing to me because, in all honesty, based on research dating back a couple of decades at the least, the microbiome is linked and tied into almost everything that we're dealing with in these horses. It is the root problem, leading to chronic inflammatory changes and other changes in the horses. So we can be dealing with anything from arthritis and laminitis in a horse, or just poor performance, to metabolic syndrome, uveitis, COPD. The list goes on and on and on. Again, we're dealing with an imbalanced microbiome, and that microbiome being imbalanced is leading to other problems in the horse. So if we correct the microbiome imbalance, which most of the time is honestly pretty easy to do, but if we can correct that microbiome imbalance, then we can manage these problems a whole lot easier and more effectively in the horses for the most part. So in this video, I wanted to kind of go over some photos of some poop, kind of show you a few things clinically, what we're looking for, and we will take it from there. All right, so I've got a few photos here in this folder that we're going to take a look at. These are what I perceive are normal feces, a little bit on the damp side. These are for some thoroughbreds that we worked with over the years. A little bit of a glistening surface, but you can kind of appreciate that these guys have got some moisture to them. These photos were actually taken during the winter time, which is actually pretty phenomenal to have some moisture to them because the winter is usually drier. But we've got a little bit of a glistening coat. You can see the roughage on the inside, is broken down, but it does have some moisture content to it. That's what we kind of perceive as normal. These are a little bit heavier, but again, not bad. They are moist. You can see the roughage content to it here, a little bit of a glistening surface, but you can kind of appreciate that these guys they've got some moisture to them. They're a little bit on the heavier side. Which is really not bad. I mean, ideally, when you think about it, when it comes to feces moving through the intestinal tract, you want some moisture to them. The moisture is being bound up because of fiber, soluble and insoluble fibers that are present in the diet naturally. If the diet's proper, and that is binding up moisture. And the reason that I say, it's kind of impressive to see these during the winter time, because during the winter time, there's generally less water consumption. The body's a little bit drier, dehydrated, and so it's not as common, but this is actually pretty good. These are normal feces that I like to see. There's very little odor associated with these. They're green in color due to the chlorophyll content, and again, they've got some pretty good moisture to them. So we're going to move through here. This is another one. This is actually from a sample that was sent in. These aren't bad. A little bit of glistening surface. Now, this glistening surface we like to think of as, oh boy, that's moisture. But in reality, what this is, if you were to grip some of these feces with a gloved hand, is that's a little bit of a slimy surface to it. And that slime is what's reflected in the light. And that slime is mucus that is normally present in the GI tract. We all secrete mucus in the GI tract, normal part of physiology. But in a lot of cases, some feces accumulate mucus. You can actually see it sliming on the surface. It almost looks like snot or phlegm. And those feces are generally drier than normal because it's slow. It's slow moving through the GI tract. It's snowballing. It's accumulating mucus there, and that's what we're seeing. So this shininess is not necessarily moisture. It's mucus. Now, let's look at these. Again, we've got a little bit of a glistening coat to it, mucus. These guys are very, very heavy. This is a sample that was sent in. We've got a lot of sand here in the background, so we should be kind of a little bit concerned about sand impaction with these feces. But these guys are so heavy that when they're falling down, they're breaking open. So we've got a lot of excess moisture that's present there. And that's not necessarily a good thing. And that kind of goes along with poor GI tract microbiome that's imbalanced. Chances are, if you were to smell these feces, there's a pretty rancid, hot smell to them, almost foul. And that goes along with microbiome imbalance. These, you can see the mucus that's starting to coat here. If I zoom in, you can see it, very slimy. And then we break these balls open, and it's very dry on the inside, very dry. All this roughage that's here, it's not even broken down, it's just falling apart. So we've got mucus on the outside, dryness or wetness on the outside, dryness on the inside. This microbiome's imbalanced. Again, this is a situation to where there's probably a pretty nasty odor associated with these feces as well. Sometimes foul, sometimes very sweet. But in my experience with these types of feces right here, there's a little bit of a foul smell to them. Let's take a look at these. These you can kind of appreciate are very dry. Not much glistening going on here. These things are very formed, but then they're breaking open as soon as they hit the ground, which tells us that they're extremely dry on the inside. So basically same scenario again. A lot of dry content on the inside easily breaks apart. Microbiome's imbalanced, plain and simple. These are like rocks, and you can actually see some of the feed stuff here that's not even processed and digested by the body. Little granules of probably oat seeds or something along those lines. So you can appreciate the heavy mucus that's here. Break these guys open, and it's just nothing but dry content. So this microbiome here is imbalanced. This is abnormal. Even though some owners will sit there and say, well, my horse has always been that way. But I'm just saying it's not normal. And if you do a microbiome culture on that, it will show you that it's not normal. This is a video just looking at some of the feces. Normal, you should be able to glove hand them and squeeze them and get some water out of them. That's what I perceive as normal. That is ideal. One more. It's good, moist, it's moving throughout the GI tract. It's not slimy, it's not falling out of your hand. So that's what we've got. We got a couple more here to look at. These are very typical for miniature horses, as well as others. Not just putting miniature horses into that group, but got a heavy slime and mucus here. These guys are formed. They're very, very dry. You can see the internal content. Abnormal. Microbiome is out of balance. These guys are lacking proper nutrition, or this horse is lacking proper nutrition. Very dry, very slow transit through the GI tract. Microbiome's imbalanced, and that's what's creating the problems in the horse. These are extremely dry. And these feces, unfortunately, have not been sitting out there baking in the sun. But this is what's coming out of this horse. I've seen it 1,000 times in patients. Very dry, almost overcooked, black, burnt. There's an odor to these. Extremely dry on the outside, extremely dry on the inside. Microbiome's imbalanced. That's what's creating the problems. You just got to go through it and fix it. You can appreciate how dry these are coming out. Totally normal for what I see almost every day in clinical practice. The feces are the window to the body in terms of seeing, what these horses are doing. You can look at the feces, the microbiome, or that their abnormal microbiome's in balance. So then the ultimate question is what do you need to do to get the microbiome back in balance? And I can tell you, if you eliminate those things, get the microbiome back in balance, and sometimes this microbiome will repair itself and rebalance itself. As long as you stop doing what you're doing, it'll repair itself pretty quickly and get itself back to a state of balance. And you'll start to see the clinical problems in the horse just dramatically improve within a week, 2 weeks, a month tops, and they're just on this road to recovery. But the biggest thing we got to do is just get over ourselves, because we are doing this through our choices. So if there's anything we can do for you, I highly recommend to check out the microbiome culture, and we'll take it from there. Secondvet.com.